Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by Reginald Martin. Reginald is a spiritual architect, metaphysician, and the creator of Comedic Physics, which is a high-level framework that merges ancient Comedic science with modern psychology. So we're going to be talking to him about his framework and everything that he's up to and going to be up to. So Reginald, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, you bet, Curtis, man. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on. Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
I am a native Texan, so grew up in the Dallas area. So I live here now in the Dallas area. Went to college in Houston, graduated there, came back. But I am a coach, author also. I have books that I've written that are on Amazon and just different things. But my most exciting project is definitely developing metaphysics and all that entails to help people live their best life and live life on their terms. So that's really what it's about, because a lot of times we have been taught that we have to watch out for everybody else and live life for everybody else and kind of leave ourselves out of the equation. And that's just not how it's supposed to be. So I'm really excited about bringing that and helping people change their lives and empower themselves in a big way.
Well, explain to the listeners what a metaphysician is.
Metaphysics is I guess you can call it a branch of philosophy in a sense, that talks about the things that are beyond the physical. So that's what metaphysics means, is beyond the physical. Our modern terminology for that, or I guess the ancient terminology that we would have for metaphysics, is spirituality. Okay, so in a sense, they are essentially talking about things that are outside of our physical world. But in metaphysics, I bridge those, and the ancient from the ancient African and metaphysics perspective, uh, everything that is physical comes out of the metaphysical. So we bridge those in a way that helps us live life, joyfully and on our terms.
Speaking of living life joyful and on our terms, what does it truly mean to live life on your own terms?
Just basically doing, I like to say, talking about the idea of abundance is just a simple way to think about it. Abundance, how I define that, is the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Okay. So when we're talking about living life from a joyful perspective, the way that I teach this is that you let joy be your guide. And how I do that, or how that, what that does is it ends up helping you to integrate emotions and your physical life. And what I mean by that is when joy is your guide, the things that basically light you up from within, that makes you feel good, that makes you feel happy, those are the things that you want to focus on and concentrate on doing on a daily basis. And when you are aligned, soulfully aligned, then you are in a joyful state. You feel good, you feel happy, you feel all those things. When you are misaligned, you feel sad, angry, depressed, the things that just basically don't feel good. So that's one simple way that I teach, that when you let joy be your guide, then the things that light you up from within that make you feel good, those are things that you want to focus on and concentrate on doing on a daily basis.
Well, how do you rewire the subconscious without actually bypassing spiritual depth?
Rewiring the subconscious is really and truly, it is rewiring our conscious mind, because there is nothing that is accepted into the subconscious that does not first come through your conscious mind, and you have to accept the belief consciously in order for it to even become nested into your subconscious. So when you think about beliefs from a comedic perspective, everything that is outside of us is a reflection of our innermost intimate vibrational being. Okay, so when I say our vibrational being, is that the metaphysical world, we're connected to that through vibrational through our vibrational being, through our frequency. Our emotions are the translation of universal frequency into our that project things into our physical realm. So when you're talking about your belief system, your beliefs are actually what's being reflected as life. Okay. So there's nothing that you don't first accept consciously that is not that gets into the subconscious. So if you can rewire your beliefs, then you're going to your conscious beliefs, you're automatically going to rewire your subconscious as well. But a lot of times we don't always recognize when negative programming kind of infiltrates our being and nestles itself into the subconscious. Now, a lot of people will talk about shadow beliefs, okay, and our shadow world. But from a comedic perspective, there is no such thing as a shadow, okay? In other words, something that you can't see, because life as a reflection of your inner vibrational being is being projected outwardly. And everything about life is symbolic in some kind of way of your inner beliefs and your inner vibrational essence. So in that sense, if there's something that is happening in your life that you don't like, then you analyze what is going on and what the symbolic representation of that event or the person that is in your life, what that means. Okay, so in that way, you are integrating your inner world with your outer world.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Well, talk about all that you're doing to help spiritually gifted people navigate isolation, success, and purpose fatigue.
Yeah, and it's really spiritual seekers. So whether they're gifted or whether you might consider yourself gifted or not, we all have gifts, on some level. It's just a matter of if we recognize those gifts. But with from a comedic perspective, one of the ways that we teach is, from there are belief systems that tell us that we're broken, that we're sinful, that we're all these negative things, and that we need something outside ourselves to validate ourselves, okay, to validate our being, okay, or to live in a way that has something outside us accept us, okay. But from a comedic perspective, you are the source of all creation that is living life as a human being. And because you are that source, the source is creates from a place of empowerment and a place of love. And because you are that source in human form, that is you as well. So from a comedic perspective and the metaphysics perspective, a lot of times you might hear people say, "I am a god," okay, or "I am a goddess," for women. And the way that metaphysics teaches this is that we are all here on the earth plane as gods and goddesses in training. And what we're learning in training is because when we incarnate, we forget that we are souls. Okay, we forget that we are souls having a human experience, and we get immersed in life. You know, we get immersed in our fears. We get immersed in all kinds of things that cause us fear or doubt and different things. But from a perspective of being a god or goddess in training, you're learning that you have the power to create your reality, because your reality is projected from within you, and your beliefs are what are basically what's being projected as life. So you might hear some of those things. One of the things that when I was doing research and a lot of stuff for many years on this, what started me to do it was I started to research the ideas of the law of attraction. And when I started to search, one of the things I knew that in the movie, The Law of Attraction, they intimated that the Greeks had the secret. Okay, well, I knew from years of studying that the Greeks learned from the ancient Egyptians. So that led me on a path to start to study what was happening or what the ancient Egyptians taught. And then lo and behold, I find out so much of what we know as the law of attraction is actually ancient Egyptian or ancient Kemetic teachings. And I use Kemetic and Egyptian interchangeably because ancient Kemet is prehistoric Egypt, okay, 10,000 years before, or 10,000 years or more before, okay? But what I also discovered was that the childhood religion that I grew up with, Christianity, it also, the foundation of it was from ancient Kemet and those teachings. But what they ended up doing was distorting a lot of them. So I ended up finding out about two different systems that were important to me at the time that it decoded. So I help people to basically um, kind of throw off the shackles of the negative programming, a lot of times that can be had through religion, and then really take back control and sovereignty of their life, and take back sovereignty of their being, and living life again, just living life on their terms from that perspective.
Well, explain the deeper esoteric meaning behind resurrection and talk about how it is being misused.
Ooh, you want to get into some deep stuff here.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, so from a comedic perspective, so first of all, understand that from a comedic perspective, everything that we are is an extension of nature. Okay. And I'm going to explain this from a perspective where nature and who we are as a soul, they are supposed to be synced. Okay. But the way that Christianity taught it, they changed that. Okay. So you probably heard the idea of ancient Egypt. Ra was the sun god. Okay. And then you'll hear a whole lot of things are connected to something being a sun god. But in reality, what they're talking about philosophically is the idea of the light of the creator that has a representation on earth. So the metaphysical, or the heavens, excuse me, the metaphysical or the heavens have a representation or a symbolic representation through the sun, okay, or the sun that we have on earth. So the sun mirrors our journey as souls having a human experience. So we go from the light of day, where we're conscious of something, then it goes down in the west, and then at night the sun sort of disappears, okay, and it goes into the deep dark night. That is the journey of the sun that is then comes back again and rises in the east, okay. So, from that perspective, I just explained the story of the crucifixion and the resurrection via the Son. Okay, and I'm gonna make this make a little sense here, but from a comedic perspective, the soul actually makes a choice to incarnate on the earth plane. But the incarnation happens when the soul incarnates, it forgets who it is. Okay. We forget who we are as souls having a human experience. We forget that we're souls. Okay. It takes it's the four elements that you've probably heard in astrology and different things, the four elements that it takes to cross over into the physical is the actual crucifixion. Okay, that's when the actual crucifixion takes place. Is the soul actually dies on the cross. But the death is not a physical death. The death is forgetting who you are. So that's the ancient teachings before Christianity. Okay. Then you travel, once you cross over, you're into the night part, when you're into the underworld, which was earth. You're into the night part of existence as a physical being on the earth plane. And you go through difficulties during that time that you're on earth, okay? And at some point, as you grow in wisdom, then you remember who you are. You remember your power. You remember you gain wisdom and remember your ability as a creator. That's what it's supposed to be. And then you come out on the other side, or you resurrect, okay? Or remember who you are. That's the ancient teaching. So the sun rises in the east or resurrects, okay? Of course, we know the play on words of the Son of God. Okay, so that's the ancient Kemetic way of connecting us to nature, and nature being a mirror of our journey as souls through the human experience. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense, which leads me to my next question. Why are affluent creators, ministers, and entrepreneurs drawn to ancient medical physical science today?
Because for a lot of times, what's something that I have learned, just in the last few months, because I've started my Substack platform. I started on the Substack platform, but I've learned, and there's a lot of ministers that are deconverting, okay, or deconstructing. And what they're learning is a lot of them are starting to come across a lot of this information, and they've realized that um, what Christianity taught a lot of times ends up creating conflict within ourselves. Okay, and it creates conflict in a way that makes us accept self-loathing, which causes low self-esteem, which causes a lot of doubts within our lives and within different areas of our lives. So how I help them is to show, for especially for pastors and preachers and seekers. What I do is I show them what it was like. So they might deconstruct, but a lot of times that's where a lot of people get stuck. And I remember when I deconstructed, I was stuck in that phase for many years because I had nowhere else to go. I became an atheist for a number of years, but it's because I was rebelling and didn't know anything else. I even went back to church because I wanted something spiritual, but didn't know what else to do or nowhere else or have anywhere else to go. What comedicism did and what cometaphysics did was provide an avenue that you can reconstruct. Okay. And what that means is that metaphysics ends up giving you a new or helping you understand a different language or a spirituality with a new language that you didn't have within Christianity or religion. Okay. And most of us speak about metaphysical things from a religious perspective most times. And we think that they're both connected because of the way that we're taught. Most people think that way. But what I found is that religion and spirituality is two different things. But in Christianity, we were taught that they are the same thing. Okay. But how I would characterize the differences is that religion is based on an external locus of control, what psychologists call an external locus of control. And I touched on this in the beginning, meaning that everything is outside of you. You pray to something outside of you. You pray the power to heal yourself comes from something outside of you, or your salvation comes from outside of you. Okay. So you're constantly in conflict a lot of times because you have to consider, is this something that God wants me to do, or is this something that I should be doing? Okay. From a comedic perspective, the journey is really gaining an internal locus of control and developing your own inner sovereignty and recognizing yourself as a God having a human experience. You're not the God, you are a God or a seed of the infinite that is planted here to grow, so to speak. Okay. So that is a different frame of reference from that a lot of us, and especially pastors and preachers, are taught. Okay. And a lot of times when they end up deconstructing, they believe that they have to leave the church, or they end up teaching from a conflicted place. Okay. That they don't believe the literal Bible anymore, and they still have a congregation to lead. So the choice for them is either they walk away or they live in conflict and lack the integrity of actually preaching something that they believe. I give them a way to claim that, to reclaim that, because when you understand the idea of the KRST, which is the Christ that existed 10,000 years before Christianity, then you recognize that it is about your journey as a human being developing that wisdom. So when you get that back, then you can operate from an empowered place. But not only that, you can teach a different message to your congregation, or if you're a coach, you can teach a different message to people that are deconstructing that is empowering. So that's one way that I give that power back, is to show them what the ancient teachings were before they were distorted through religion.
Or talk about any upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Yeah, and I just mentioned one, which it's my Substack account that I actually do a lot of writing and teaching there, and I do videos, but it is at reginaldmartin.substack.com. Okay, and that's one way that they can tap into what I'm teaching and start to learn there. I've also created a specialized AI a specialized AI project where a person can it's like ChatGPT, but it is trained in ancient spiritual knowledge and spiritual teachings. And this is at the soulpreneur.ai. So that's SOUL preneur.ai. And they can actually get a sign up for that for free and and test it out for 3 days and see if it's something that will work for them. But it actually is a metaphysical intelligence platform designed for spiritual seekers and spiritual creators, coaches, and soul-led entrepreneurs. So it helps them create content, and it helps them learn about the esoteric teachings and different things. And then last but not least is my YouTube channel at YouTube at cometaphysics.com. So youtube.com / at cometaphysics. and they can go there and watch a lot of videos. I have probably over 1,000 videos that I've done over the years that basically is teaching these ideas as well.
Close us out with some final thoughts, maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Yeah, so for me, it is really about helping people develop the confidence to live life on their terms. And even in this age of things are changing so fast, confidence is a really, really major thing. That you have confidence in yourself, that you can adjust and adapt. So I would say to anybody, live life on your terms, and I'm telling you, you will find the most peace in your life when you're doing that. When you become the standard for your life rather than trying to live to everybody else's ideas of what life is supposed to be.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Be sure to check out Reginald's YouTube channel, his Substack. Check out everything that he's up to. Follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform and visit www.curveball337.com for more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Reginald, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me, Curtis. I really appreciate it, man.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.